More than 70% of Earth's surface is covered by ocean, yet detailed maps exist for only a small portion of the seafloor. In many regions, scientists still rely on scattered measurements and brief camera visits rather than complete exploration. Depth changes everything. Sunlight fades quickly after only a few hundred meters. Far below that boundary lies a vast region where darkness is permanent and pressure grows with every descent. For a long time, researchers assumed these conditions would limit life. Harsh environments were expected to produce simple animals, few in number and slow to change. The first cameras that reached these depths began to challenge that assumption. Images returned showing fish with teeth too large for their mouths, transparent heads revealing the organs inside, bodies that glow with living light in water where sunlight never arrives. Some animals appeared so delicate they nearly vanished in the surrounding water. Others did not resemble any familiar group at all. Many of these species remained unknown to science until recent decades. Some were pulled up unexpectedly in fishing nets. Others appeared only when robotic submarines finally reached depths humans cannot safely visit. In several cases, scientists initially suspected their equipment had failed. The shapes moving across the screens did not resemble anything they expected to find, but every new expedition continues to reveal the same pattern. Large regions of our own planet remain only partially understood. Today, we explore some of the strangest creatures ever encountered at sea. Far beneath the restless surface of the ocean, the environment changes in ways that quietly reshape the lives of the creatures who inhabit it. Light fades first. Within a short descent, the bright world above dissolves into dim blue twilight. Soon even that faint glow disappears, leaving a darkness so complete that day and night become indistinguishable. In this hidden realm, survival depends on strategies that rarely exist anywhere else on Earth. Sunlight powers most ecosystems near the surface. Plants and algae capture its energy and transform it into food, forming the base of nearly every familiar food chain. In the deep ocean, that source of energy vanishes. No forests of seaweed grow in the depths, and no drifting clouds of microscopic plants bloom in the darkness. Life must rely on far rarer opportunities. Food often arrives only as a slow rain of organic fragments drifting down from above. Tiny particles of decaying plants, microscopic shells, and the remains of animals settle gradually through the water column. Marine scientists sometimes describe this steady descent as marine snow, a quiet shower of nutrients that falls endlessly through the deep. For many animals living thousands of meters below the surface, this faint trickle forms the primary source of sustenance. Yet the supply remains unpredictable. A creature may encounter a meal one day and then drift through emptiness for weeks or longer. Under these conditions, natural selection favors bodies designed for patience and efficiency. Metabolisms slow dramatically. Movements become measured and deliberate, conserving precious energy whenever possible. Many species also evolve enormous mouths, far larger than their bodies might seem to require. A rare passing fish or drifting squid represents an opportunity too valuable to miss. Wide jaws and expandable stomachs allow predators to swallow prey nearly their own size. Even animals that appear small or delicate may conceal feeding structures capable of surprising feats. In the darkness, vision itself changes meaning. Eyes may grow unusually large, gathering every available trace of light. Others shrink or disappear entirely, replaced by different sensory abilities. Vibrations traveling through water carry information about distant movement. Sensitive organs detect faint electrical signals produced by living bodies nearby. Some animals solve the problem of darkness by generating their own illumination. Bioluminescence appears throughout the deep sea, created by chemical reactions inside specialized tissues. A soft pulse of blue or green light may flicker along a fish's belly, forming patterns that blend with the faint glow, filtering down from above. From below, predators struggle to distinguish the animal's silhouette against the distant surface. Elsewhere, living lanterns hang like small stars from flexible stalks or lures. Predators drift patiently while their light sway gently in the current. Curious prey approach the glow, mistaking it for food or a companion, only to vanish in an instant. In other species, flashes of light become signals exchanged between individuals searching for partners in the endless dark. The immense pressure of the deep ocean shapes bodies in quieter ways as well. Water presses inward with crushing force, yet the surrounding fluid also supports soft structures that would collapse on land. Many deep-sea creatures develop delicate, gelatinous forms. Muscles remain light and flexible, while heavy bones become unnecessary. Their tissues float easily within the dense water, conserving energy that stronger skeletons would demand. These physical traits often produce silhouettes unlike those found in shallower waters. Transparent bodies drift almost invisibly. Fins stretch into long, trailing ribbons. Teeth curve outward in improbable arcs. Each unusual shape reflects countless generations of adaptation to darkness, scarcity, and pressure. The result is a community of life that appears strange only when compared with the familiar animals of sunlit seas. In the deep ocean, these forms represent quiet solutions to an environment where energy is precious, light is rare, and survival depends on patience. Over time, evolution has transformed these conditions into a gallery of creatures whose designs reflect the extraordinary demands of their world. Somewhere in the cold southern oceans, a shadow moves slowly through the dark water, immense yet almost silent. Its shape remains difficult to see, even when illuminated by research lights, as if the animal itself belongs more naturally to the dim layers, where sunlight never reaches. This is the colossal squid, one of the most powerful invertebrate predators known in the sea. For much of scientific history, the existence of this animal remained uncertain. Sailors had long told stories of enormous squids rising from deep water, but these accounts blended easily with folklore. Clear evidence began to appear only when fragments surfaced from unexpected places. Occasionally, the remains of a large squid appeared in the stomachs of sperm whales harvested in the Southern Ocean. In other cases, fishing vessels hauling deep nets discovered strange tentacles tangled among their catch. Careful examination revealed that these animals belonged to a species distinct from the better-known giant squid. The colossal squid grows shorter in length than its famous relative, yet it is far heavier and more robust. Mature individuals may weigh over 500 kilograms, making them the heaviest invertebrates ever recorded. Their bodies are thick and muscular, adapted for life in the deep waters surrounding Antarctica. One feature draws immediate attention. The eyes of the colossal squid are among the largest in the animal kingdom, reaching nearly 30 centimeters across. In the dark ocean, large eyes allow faint traces of movement to be detected from great distances. Marine biologists believe these enormous eyes may help the squid notice approaching predators, such as sperm whales, whose massive bodies displace water in subtle ways that light alone cannot reveal. The arms and tentacles of the colossal squid reveal another unusual design. Along the inner surfaces run rows of rotating hooks, sharp structures that curve inward like miniature grappling tools. Unlike the suction cups seen on many other squids, these hooks grip prey firmly once contact occurs. Fish, smaller squids, and other drifting animals can be seized and drawn toward the squid's powerful beak, where they are broken apart and consumed. These hooks suggest an animal capable of capturing fast-moving prey in near total darkness. Rather than relying solely on speed, the squid may wait motionless before striking with sudden precision. The surrounding water provides support for its large body, allowing slow and deliberate movement that conserves energy between hunts. Despite its immense size, the colossal squid remains one of the least observed large predators on Earth. Most knowledge about the species comes from specimens recovered after accidental capture in deep fishing operations. In 2007, a nearly intact adult female was brought to the surface by a vessel targeting Antarctic toothfish. The squid measured over 4 meters in mantle length, with tentacles extending much farther. Only a few encounters with living colossal squids have been recorded on camera. The deep ocean, where they spend most of their lives, lies far beyond the reach of ordinary diving equipment. Even robotic vehicles rarely cross paths with such animals in the vastness of the Southern Ocean. When brief footage does appear, the squid often drifts slowly through the water, its large fins moving gently along the sides of its mantle. The motion appears calm and deliberate, a steady rhythm that carries the animal through its quiet domain. Tentacles trail outward, ready to respond when movement stirs nearby. In this way, the colossal squid embodies many of the evolutionary patterns shaped by life in deep water. Enormous sensory organs detect faint signals in darkness. Specialized limbs capture rare passing prey. A powerful yet efficient body allows survival in a habitat where encounters between large animals may be separated by long stretches of silence. For scientists studying the deep ocean, each glimpse of this animal feels like a brief meeting with a creature that has existed largely beyond human awareness. The colossal squid continues to inhabit remote waters with little disturbance, moving through its cold environment much as it has for countless generations. For centuries, fragments of enormous tentacles occasionally appeared along distant shorelines, their pale flesh tangled in seaweed and driftwood. Fishermen who encountered them could measure lengths far beyond the reach of any familiar animal. The remains suggested a creature of unusual scale, moving somewhere beyond ordinary sight, though few people believed such an animal truly lived in the open ocean. Old maritime traditions carried quiet stories of vast squids rising from deep water beside wooden ships. Sailors described long arms coiling through waves and bodies large enough to challenge even the strongest vessel. These accounts drifted through generations of seafaring culture, recorded in journals and illustrated in early books about marine life. Many naturalists treated them with polite skepticism, placing the stories alongside other imaginative creatures said to inhabit distant seas. Yet the ocean sometimes left clues that could not be dismissed so easily. One of the most compelling signs appeared on the bodies of sperm whales. These great diving predators travel to remarkable depths in search of large squid. When researchers began examining stranded whales more closely, they noticed circular scars scattered across their skin. Each mark matched the pattern left by a powerful suction cup. Some scars reached the size of dinner plates, far larger than those produced by any squid known at the time. The whales themselves carried the evidence quietly across the ocean, suggesting that somewhere in the depths lived an animal capable of defending itself with tremendous strength. Though the squid remained unseen, its presence could be traced in these silent encounters. During the late 20th century, oceanographers and marine biologists began searching more deliberately for the creature responsible. Advances in underwater cameras allowed instruments to descend thousands of meters below the surface. Baited lines, carrying small cameras, were lowered into deep water in hopes that a passing squid might investigate. Years passed with only brief glimpses. Occasionally, a blurry shape crossed the edge of a frame, vanishing before details could be captured. Each fragment of evidence encouraged further attempts, drawing researchers deeper into the hidden layers of the ocean. Then, in 2004, a clear image finally appeared. Japanese researchers, working near the Ogasawara Islands, deployed a deep-sea camera system designed to attract large predators. After hours of patient observation, the device recorded a living giant squid grasping the bait with its long tentacles. The animal's arms stretched outward in graceful arcs, revealing the unmistakable form that had lingered in human imagination for centuries. The photographs provided the first confirmed images of the species in its natural environment. Soon afterward, additional footage revealed giant squids swimming slowly through the water column, their bodies moving with steady pulses of their mantle fins. What had once existed only as scattered remains and sailor stories now appeared clearly as a living animal. The giant squid, known scientifically as Architeuthis dux, ranks among the largest invertebrates ever discovered. Adult individuals can reach lengths of more than 10 meters when their two long feeding tentacles extend fully. These tentacles carry rows of powerful suction cups lined with small serrated edges, allowing the squid to grasp prey securely. At the center of its arms lies a strong beak, shaped much like that of a parrot, but formed from hardened biological material. This beak slices through fish and other squid before the food passes into the animal's digestive tract. Within the deep ocean food web, the giant squid occupies a role as both predator and prey, hunted primarily by sperm whales, capable of diving into the squid's distant habitat. Despite the growing number of observations, encounters with living giant squids remain rare. Most individuals spend their lives far below the reach of sunlight, drifting through immense regions of the ocean where few cameras ever travel. Each confirmed sighting, therefore, carries the quiet sense of witnessing something that has existed largely beyond human awareness. The journey from legend to scientific understanding unfolded slowly, guided by scattered clues left across decades of exploration. What once appeared as a mysterious rumor of the sea now stands as one of the most remarkable animals ever confirmed to inhabit Earth's oceans. Occasionally, the ocean delivers a visitor from its deeper layers to the quiet margins of the world above. Along remote beaches or beside drifting boats, observers sometimes encounter a long silver body lying motionless in the shallows, its scales reflecting pale light like polished metal. The animal's form stretches so far that it can be difficult at first to understand its true shape. This is the giant oarfish, the longest bony fish ever recorded in the sea. Unlike most large fish, the oarfish carries a body that resembles a narrow ribbon more than a solid frame. Its sides remain flattened and flexible, tapering gradually toward a thin tail. Running along its back is a continuous red fin that begins just above the head and flows almost the entire length of the animal. Each small fin ray moves in gentle waves, producing a motion that allows the fish to glide slowly through the water without powerful strokes. The head itself appears surprisingly small compared with the length of the body. From the crown extend a few elongated fin rays that form a delicate crest, colored bright crimson against the reflective silver of the scales. These features give the animal an appearance both elegant and unfamiliar, as if shaped by conditions far removed from the coastal waters where humans occasionally encounter it. Most giant oarfish spend their lives in the open ocean, often at depths that remain difficult for scientists to observe directly. Rather than swimming horizontally like many fish, they often drift in a vertical orientation. Their heads point upward while the long body hangs beneath them, suspended in the water column like a slowly moving ribbon. This posture allows the oarfish to move with quiet efficiency. Small undulations ripple along the red dorsal fin, pushing the animal upward or downward through the surrounding water. Marine biologists believe this gentle movement helps the fish approach drifting plankton and small crustaceans that form much of its diet. The creature's narrow mouth opens easily to collect these tiny organisms as they pass. Although the giant oarfish feeds on small prey, its immense length can exceed 11 meters. This extraordinary size, combined with the snake-like outline of its body, has long influenced human imagination. For centuries, sailors described encounters with sea serpents rising from distant swells. These stories often spoke of long, shining forms weaving through the water with slow, undulating motion. Modern researchers suspect that some of those reports may have originated from rare sightings of giant oarfish near the surface. When an animal of such unusual length appears briefly among ocean waves, the impression can easily transform in memory into something even more mysterious. Early explorers lacked the opportunity to examine these fish closely, and so the stories traveled onward through maritime traditions. Even today, living giant oarfish are seldom observed in their natural environment. Most knowledge about the species comes from individuals that have drifted into shallow water after illness or injury. On a few occasions, remotely operated vehicles have recorded them swimming slowly in deeper regions, their long bodies moving with the same calm rhythm suggested by stranded specimens. These glimpses reveal a creature adapted for life in the wide expanses of open ocean. Its light skeleton and flexible muscles allow the long body to remain supported by surrounding water. The shimmering scales, which detach easily when handled, may help scatter faint reflections that soften the animal's outline. Within the quiet distances where the oarfish travels, its remarkable length becomes simply another form shaped by the ocean's vastness. The animal moves through its environment without urgency, suspended in the broad currents that connect distant regions of the sea. When one of these rare fish finally appears near shore, it offers a brief view of a species whose true home lies far beyond ordinary observation, drifting silently through the deeper waters of Earth's largest habitat. A pale shape sometimes appears on the distant screens of deep ocean exploration vehicles, drifting slowly beyond the beams of artificial light. Its form unfolds gradually, almost like fabric suspended in water, revealing delicate structures that move with patient grace. Among the many elusive animals of the deep sea, few are as rarely encountered as the giant phantom jellyfish. This species lives in the vast midwater regions of the ocean, far above the seafloor yet far below the reach of sunlight. These immense open spaces form one of the least observed habitats on Earth. Unlike coastal environments or shallow reefs, the midwater realm offers few landmarks or surfaces where animals might gather. Creatures move quietly through an almost boundless volume of water, which makes encounters between them, and with human technology, remarkably uncommon. The giant phantom jellyfish belongs to a group known as Siphozoans, animals whose bodies consist primarily of soft, transparent tissue arranged around a simple radial structure. In this species, the central bell forms a broad dome that can reach over a meter in diameter. The bell pulses slowly, drawing water beneath it and releasing it in gentle waves that carry the animal forward. Extending from the underside of the bell are 4 extraordinarily long oral arms. These trailing structures can stretch more than 10 meters behind the drifting jellyfish. Rather than the thin, stinging tentacles seen in many other jellyfish, the arms appear thick and ribbon-like, curling softly as they extend into the surrounding water. Along the surfaces of these arms lie countless microscopic stinging cells called nematocysts. Each one contains a tiny coiled harpoon capable of delivering venom to small prey. When drifting organisms such as crustaceans or tiny fish brush against the arms, these cells activate instantly, securing the prey before it can escape. The captured animal is then transported slowly toward the central mouth. Because the giant phantom jellyfish moves with such unhurried motion, its feeding strategy relies on patience rather than pursuit. The animal drifts through the water column with its arms spread widely, creating a nearly invisible net that gathers whatever living particles pass within reach. Over time, this quiet method allows the jellyfish to collect enough food to sustain its slow metabolism. The first confirmed footage of this species appeared in 1899, when it was described from a preserved specimen collected during early oceanographic expeditions. For more than a century afterward, almost nothing was known about how it behaved in its natural environment. Only in recent decades have remotely operated vehicles begun to encounter living individuals. Even with modern technology, these sightings remain extremely rare. The giant phantom jellyfish has been filmed only a handful of times by deep-sea robotic explorers. Each encounter reveals similar scenes. The animal drifts alone in the dark water, its enormous arms trailing far behind like quiet streamers carried by invisible currents. Researchers studying these recordings often notice how little disturbance surrounds the jellyfish. No crowded schools of fish gather nearby, and few other large animals pass through the frame. The midwater realm can feel vast and almost empty, a setting where creatures appear one at a time and then fade slowly from view. The jellyfish itself seems well suited to this environment. Its translucent tissues blend easily with the surrounding water, reducing its visibility to both predators and prey. The slow pulse of the bell conserves energy, while the long arms extend the animal's reach through the drifting currents. For scientists observing these rare encounters, the giant phantom jellyfish offers a quiet reminder of how much life still moves through regions rarely visited by human eyes. Its delicate form glides through a habitat that remains largely unexplored, sustained by simple biological mechanisms refined over millions of years. When the lights of a robotic vehicle finally pass and the cameras turn away, the jellyfish continues its steady drift through the immense midwater expanse, trailing its long arms through the darkness as it has done for ages beyond recorded observation. At first glance, a Siphonophore might appear to be a single drifting creature, long and delicate, extending through the water like a faint, living thread. Its body stretches far beyond the range of ordinary animals, sometimes reaching lengths that rival the size of large whales. Yet the remarkable truth behind this form lies not in the size of one organism, but in the quiet cooperation of many. A Siphonophore is not a solitary animal in the usual sense. Instead, it is a colonial organism composed of countless smaller individuals called zooids. Each zooid develops from the same fertilized egg and carries identical genetic information, yet each takes on a specialized role within the growing colony. Together, they form a structure that behaves as a single, coordinated life. As the colony develops, these zooids arrange themselves along a central stem that elongates gradually through the water. Some zooids function as swimmers, contracting rhythmically to propel the entire colony forward. Others specialize in feeding, extending delicate tentacles that gather prey from the surrounding currents. Additional zooids serve reproductive roles, ensuring that new colonies will someday drift through distant waters. Because each individual performs only one function, the colony as a whole becomes remarkably efficient. The swimming zooids create gentle pulses that carry the organism through the ocean, while feeding zooids capture passing plankton and small crustaceans. Nutrients then circulate through the shared tissues of the colony, sustaining every segment of the structure. In some species, the colony grows to extraordinary lengths. Marine researchers exploring deep water with robotic cameras have documented siphonophores extending more than 40 meters. When stretched through the water column, these colonies become the longest animals known on Earth. Their bodies remain slender and almost transparent, allowing them to drift through their environment with minimal resistance. Along the length of the colony, long tentacles descend in graceful loops. Each tentacle carries clusters of stinging cells capable of immobilizing prey. When a small animal brushes against this delicate network, the tentacle contracts, drawing the captured organism upward toward the feeding zooids waiting above. The process unfolds quietly and efficiently, guided by biological mechanisms refined over countless generations. Although the colony may appear fragile, its organization allows remarkable flexibility. If a portion of the structure becomes damaged, other segments continue their roles without interruption. The colony moves as a unified system, yet each individual zooid retains its own distinct anatomy. Many siphonophores also produce faint bioluminescent signals. Gentle pulses of light travel along the colony like drifting constellations, illuminating the delicate forms of its tentacles. These signals may startle predators or attract curious prey that wander too close to the feeding structures. Encounters with these extraordinary animals remained rare until modern exploration tools began to survey the midwater depths more carefully. Remotely operated vehicles descending through these open regions occasionally reveal long siphonophore colonies drifting slowly across the camera's field of view. The animals often appear suspended within the water, their extended forms moving with quiet coordination. Researchers observing these recordings often note how the colony's movement resembles a living chain carried by invisible currents. Each segment contributes to the overall motion, yet none dominates the structure. The result is an organism that behaves almost like a single flowing body, even though it is composed of many individual parts. In the immense spaces of the ocean, this cooperative design allows siphonophores to extend farther than most animals ever could. Their long colonies drift gently through open water, gathering nourishment from the steady movement of microscopic life. Seen from a distance, the entire structure can resemble a faint thread suspended in the sea, its delicate segments working together in quiet harmony. Through this remarkable arrangement of many small lives, siphonophores achieve a scale that transforms them into some of the most extraordinary organisms drifting through the ocean's hidden layers. In certain deep marine environments, a shark appears whose form seems shaped by an earlier chapter of Earth's history. Its body moves with steady patience through dim water, carrying features that differ noticeably from the streamlined outlines of most modern sharks. This is the goblin shark, a species whose unusual anatomy reflects a lineage stretching far back through time. The first detail that draws attention is the long, flattened snout extending forward from the head. This structure, known as a rostrum, projects outward like a narrow blade. Within the tissues of this extended snout lie specialized sensory organs called ampullae of Lorenzini. These organs allow the shark to detect faint electrical signals produced by the muscles and nerves of nearby animals. Even small fish hidden within sediment or drifting quietly through the water produce tiny electrical fields. The goblin shark's rostrum acts as a sensitive antenna, guiding the animal toward prey that might otherwise remain unnoticed. In habitats where visibility may be limited and food is scattered unpredictably, such sensitivity becomes a valuable advantage. The rest of the shark's body appears somewhat softer than that of many surface-dwelling species. Its muscles are less rigid, and the skeleton contains lighter cartilage. This design suits a lifestyle that does not depend on rapid bursts of speed. Instead, the goblin shark often moves slowly through the water column, conserving energy while scanning its surroundings for subtle signs of life. Yet the most remarkable feature of the goblin shark remains hidden until the moment it feeds. Its jaws possess a mechanism rarely seen among vertebrate predators. When prey approaches within reach, the jaws extend suddenly forward from the skull, propelled by specialized ligaments and muscles. This rapid projection can thrust the mouth outward several centimeters beyond the head. Rows of narrow, pointed teeth line these jaws, forming a structure capable of seizing slippery prey with surprising precision. After the strike, the jaws retract smoothly back into their resting position beneath the shark's snout. The entire movement occurs quickly, allowing the animal to capture fish or squid that drift within range. Because the goblin shark spends much of its life in deeper regions of the ocean, direct observations remain uncommon. Most specimens known to science have been collected accidentally by deep water fishing operations. When brought to the surface, their pale pink coloration often appears striking, a result of blood vessels visible through the shark's semi-translucent skin. This unusual color gradually fades after death, leaving a more muted tone. In its natural environment, the subtle coloration likely blends with the surrounding water, helping the shark remain unobtrusive as it searches for prey. The evolutionary history of the goblin shark reveals connections to ancient relatives that lived millions of years ago. Fossil evidence shows that similar sharks existed during the Cretaceous period, when oceans supported a diverse array of marine reptiles and early modern fish. Over immense stretches of geological time, the basic design of the goblin shark has remained remarkably consistent. Because of this continuity, marine biologists sometimes describe the species as a living representative of a much older lineage. The structure of its rostrum, jaws, and skeletal features reflects patterns that developed long before many modern shark families appeared. Today, the goblin shark inhabits continental slopes and submarine canyons across several ocean basins. Individuals have been recorded from the waters surrounding Japan, the Gulf of Mexico, and other deep marine regions. Though widely distributed, the species remains rarely encountered, partly because its preferred habitat lies far below the reach of ordinary observation. In the quiet depths where it travels, the goblin shark continues its patient search for food, guided by senses refined through millions of years of evolution. Its elongated snout sweeps gently through the water as it moves forward, detecting faint electrical signals that reveal the presence of nearby life. Through this distinctive design, the goblin shark carries an ancient blueprint into the modern ocean. Its form stands as a reminder that beneath the changing surface of the sea, some lineages have endured with remarkable stability, preserving features that originated in distant prehistoric waters. Among the quiet slopes of the continental margins, a shark moves with a shape that seems drawn from another age. Its body stretches long and slender, bending in smooth curves that resemble the motion of an eel rather than the familiar form of most sharks. The animal glides through dim water with steady, unhurried movements, its appearance hinting at a lineage that began long before the oceans took their modern form. This is the frilled shark, one of the most unusual predators still inhabiting the sea. The body of the frilled shark extends in a narrow, flexible line that can reach over 2 meters in length. Its fins remain relatively small compared with the elongated torso, giving the animal a sinuous profile as it moves through the water. Along its sides, subtle folds of skin ripple gently as the shark swims, creating a silhouette that differs greatly from the powerful shapes seen in surface-dwelling species. The name frilled shark comes from the distinctive gill openings that line the animal's throat. Instead of appearing as separate slits, the first pair of gills joins beneath the head, forming a ruffled collar of tissue that frames the lower jaw. These delicate folds create the impression of a soft frill encircling the shark's neck, a feature rarely seen in modern marine predators. Perhaps the most striking aspect of the frilled shark lies within its mouth. When the jaws open, they reveal numerous rows of slender teeth arranged in carefully ordered patterns. Each tooth curves inward like a tiny hook, forming a structure designed to hold struggling prey securely. The teeth are thin and needle-like, capable of gripping soft-bodied animals such as squid and small fish. Marine researchers believe the frilled shark often hunts by approaching prey slowly before lunging forward with a sudden movement of its body. The long torso bends sharply during the strike, allowing the jaws to reach forward while the teeth close around the captured animal. Once seized, the prey becomes difficult to escape from the many inward-pointing hooks. Despite its formidable design, the frilled shark remains one of the least frequently observed shark species. Most individuals inhabit depths between 500 and 1,500 meters along continental slopes. These environments lie far beyond the reach of routine human exploration, and encounters with living frilled sharks occur only occasionally. Many specimens have been discovered when deep water fishing lines accidentally bring them to the surface. Others appear in the images of submersible vehicles exploring underwater ridges and canyons. In these recordings, the sharks often move calmly through the frame, their elongated bodies undulating with quiet precision. The evolutionary history of the frilled shark reveals connections reaching far into the distant past. Fossils of similar sharks appear in geological layers more than 80 million years old. While many other shark lineages have undergone dramatic changes across that immense span of time, the frilled shark has retained much of its ancient anatomy. Because of this continuity, the species is often described as a living representative of prehistoric oceans. The structure of its jaws, teeth, and elongated body echoes forms that once swam alongside creatures, now known only through fossil remains. Yet the frilled shark continues to inhabit modern seas, moving through deep waters that remain largely untouched by human presence. Its senses guide it through dark environments where prey appears only occasionally and where patience becomes as important as speed. In these quiet habitats, the frilled shark persists as a subtle reminder that the ocean still preserves traces of earlier eras. The animal's slow movements carry the imprint of evolutionary pathways that unfolded over millions of years, linking the present ocean to ancient marine worlds. Within the depths where it travels, the frilled shark remains largely unseen, continuing its steady passage through waters that have sheltered its lineage since long before the first human observers ever looked toward the sea. In the silent layers of the ocean, where faint traces of light still filter downward, a small fish drifts with an appearance unlike almost any other vertebrate. Its body is modest in size and dark in color, blending easily into the surrounding water. Yet above this simple form rises a smooth, transparent dome that reveals something extraordinary within. This is the barreleye fish, an animal whose head appears almost entirely clear. The dome covering the top of the head is composed of a transparent shield of tissue that protects the fish's delicate sensory organs. Beneath this curved surface sit two large tubular eyes, bright green in color and oriented toward the space above the fish. These unusual eyes resemble narrow barrels set side by side, which gives the species its common name. For many years, scientists believed these eyes remained fixed in a permanent upward position. Early specimens collected in fishing nets showed the eyes pointing vertically through the transparent dome, suggesting that the fish constantly watched the faint glow filtering down from distant waters above. This orientation serves a clear purpose. Many small animals drift slowly downward through the ocean, silhouetted against the faint light from higher layers. By gazing upward, the barreleye fish can detect these subtle outlines moving overhead. Even slight movements become visible against the dim background, allowing the fish to identify potential prey. Later observations using remotely operated vehicles revealed an even more complex design. When researchers finally recorded living barreleye fish in their natural habitat, they noticed that the eyes could rotate within the transparent dome. While the resting position often faces upward, the eyes can shift forward when the fish begins to feed. This rotation allows the fish to track prey that has already been captured by its mouth. Once a drifting organism approaches closely enough, the fish adjusts its gaze, aligning its vision with the direction of the approaching meal. The ability to change eye orientation within the dome provides remarkable flexibility for such a small creature. The rest of the fish's body appears understated compared with the unusual head. Its dark coloration helps it remain inconspicuous when viewed from below, while small fins allow it to maneuver gently through the surrounding water. The mouth sits at the front of the body, ready to capture small crustaceans and other drifting animals that enter its reach. Inside the transparent dome lie additional structures that assist with sensory detection. Researchers have identified patches of tissue believed to help filter or stabilize incoming light. These features may improve the fish's ability to distinguish faint silhouettes against the dim background. The existence of such a clear protective dome presents an elegant solution to a difficult problem. In the ocean depths where the barreleye fish lives, the eyes must remain highly sensitive in order to detect weak light signals. At the same time, these delicate organs require protection from drifting particles and stinging tentacles that fill the surrounding water. The transparent shield allows light to pass freely while still guarding the sensitive eyes beneath. This design preserves visual clarity without exposing the fish to unnecessary harm. For many decades, the true nature of the barreleye fish remained misunderstood. Specimens recovered from fishing gear often showed damaged or collapsed head structures, giving the impression that the fish possessed a flat skull rather than a rounded dome. Only with modern submersible technology did researchers finally observe the intact transparent shield in living individuals. Footage recorded by deep-sea exploration vehicles reveals the fish hovering quietly within the water column. Its tubular eyes glow softly through the clear dome, shifting slightly as they scan the space above and ahead. In these subtle movements, the barreleye fish demonstrates a specialized approach to life in the ocean's dim interior. Through the delicate architecture of its transparent head, the animal maintains a careful watch on the faint silhouettes drifting through the water, guided by vision shaped precisely for the quiet challenges of its hidden environment. In the dim expanses of the deep ocean, a faint point of light sometimes appears where no natural sunlight can reach. The glow moves slowly through the water, swaying gently as though carried by invisible currents. For small creatures drifting nearby, the light resembles a floating speck of food or a curious signal in the darkness. The glow belongs to one of the most recognizable inhabitants of the deep sea, the anglerfish. At the front of the female anglerfish's head rises a slender rod of tissue known as the elysium. This structure extends forward like a delicate fishing pole. At its tip rests a small bulb called the esca, which produces a steady bioluminescent glow. The light comes not from the fish itself, but from colonies of specialized bacteria that live within the organ, generating illumination through chemical reactions. As the anglerfish drifts quietly through the water, the glowing lure sways back and forth. The motion mimics the subtle movements of small prey organisms, creating an inviting signal in the otherwise dark surroundings. Curious animals approach the light, drawn closer with each slow pulse of movement. When a fish or crustacean nears the lure, the anglerfish responds with sudden speed. Its mouth opens wide, revealing rows of slender teeth angled inward like delicate hooks. These teeth prevent captured prey from escaping once the jaws close. The entire strike occurs in an instant, transforming the gentle glow into the center of a successful hunt. The body of the female anglerfish appears compact but powerful. Its head forms a large portion of its overall shape, while the mouth stretches far wider than expected for an animal of its size. The stomach remains highly expandable, allowing the fish to swallow prey nearly equal to its own length. In an environment where meals may appear only rarely, this ability ensures that any captured animal provides the greatest possible nourishment. While the female anglerfish carries the famous lantern, the male presents a striking contrast. Male anglerfish remain much smaller, often measuring only a fraction of the female's size. Their bodies appear simple by comparison, lacking the glowing lure that defines the female's hunting strategy. The purpose of the male becomes clear during reproduction. When a male anglerfish encounters a female, he attaches himself to her body using his teeth. Over time, their tissues fuse together, forming a permanent connection. The male's circulatory system merges with that of the female, allowing him to receive nutrients directly from her bloodstream. Through this unusual arrangement, the male becomes a permanent reproductive partner. The female carries one or more attached males throughout her life, ensuring that fertilization can occur whenever she releases eggs. In the vast distances of the deep ocean, where encounters between individuals may be extremely rare, this adaptation increases the chances that reproduction can succeed. The bioluminescent lure and the unusual relationship between males and females represent two of the most distinctive strategies evolved by deep-sea animals. Together, they form a system finely tuned to the conditions of the dark ocean, where finding food and finding mates both present significant challenges. Although anglerfish have become familiar through photographs and documentaries, direct observations of them in their natural environment remain limited. Much of what scientists know about these animals comes from specimens recovered by deep-sea fishing equipment or recorded briefly by remotely operated vehicles. In the recordings that do exist, the anglerfish often appears suspended quietly in the water. Its glowing lure drifts slowly in front of its mouth, casting a small circle of light into the surrounding darkness. Within that faint glow lies a simple yet highly effective strategy, one that allows the anglerfish to thrive in a world where vision is limited and opportunity must be created rather than pursued. Through the gentle swing of its living lantern, the anglerfish transforms darkness itself into a tool for survival, carrying one of the ocean's most remarkable adaptations through the silent depths. In certain regions of the ocean where dissolved oxygen becomes scarce, a small cephalopod drifts through the water with an appearance that has puzzled scientists for generations. Its dark body carries a cloak of webbed arms that fold around it like soft fabric, creating a silhouette both delicate and unfamiliar. This animal is known as the vampire squid, though its true nature differs greatly from what its name might suggest. Despite the name, the vampire squid does not belong fully to the group of true squids, nor does it fit neatly among octopuses. Instead, it represents its own distinct lineage within the cephalopods. Scientists place it in a separate order called Vampiromorphidae, a group that shares certain traits with both relatives yet follows its own evolutionary path. Fossil evidence indicates that this lineage began developing long ago, preserving characteristics that have changed little across immense stretches of time. The body of the vampire squid measures only about 30 centimeters in length, far smaller than many of the cephalopods that inhabit shallower seas. Its 8 arms extend outward from a compact mantle and are connected by a thin membrane of skin. When the arms spread, the membrane forms a broad web that gives the animal its cloak-like appearance. Small spines line the inner surfaces of these arms, though they are softer and more flexible than the hooks or suckers found in other cephalopods. These spines help guide captured particles toward the animal's mouth, where specialized feeding structures process the collected food. The vampire squid occupies a region of the ocean known as the oxygen minimum zone. In these depths, the concentration of dissolved oxygen becomes extremely low, often far below the levels tolerated by most marine animals. Yet the vampire squid thrives in this environment through a combination of physiological adaptations. Its metabolism remains unusually slow, allowing it to survive with minimal oxygen consumption. Large gills and specialized blood pigments improve the animal's ability to extract oxygen from the surrounding water. Through these features, the vampire squid occupies a habitat where few predators or competitors can easily survive. Unlike many active hunters among its relatives, the vampire squid feeds primarily on drifting organic particles. Marine biologists sometimes refer to this material as marine snow, a mixture of microscopic organisms, fragments of decaying plants, and the remains of tiny animals that gradually settle through the water column. To gather this food, the vampire squid extends 2 thin filaments that reach outward from its body. These delicate threads collect particles as they drift past. Once enough material accumulates, the squid retracts the filaments and transfers the gathered food toward its mouth. While its feeding strategy appears gentle, the vampire squid possesses a remarkable defense against danger. When threatened by a predator, it releases clouds of bioluminescent mucus into the surrounding water. This glowing secretion forms a drifting cloud of light filled with tiny particles that shimmer and fade slowly. The sudden appearance of this luminous cloud can distract or confuse approaching predators, giving the squid time to retreat into the darkness. At the same moment, the animal may pull its webbed arms upward over its body, turning itself inside out in a defensive posture known as the pumpkin position. In this form, the arms cover the body completely, presenting only the soft spines along the edges. The combination of glowing mucus and protective posture creates a brief but effective barrier between the squid and its pursuer. Once the disturbance fades, the vampire squid gradually returns to its normal shape and continues drifting through its quiet environment. Encounters with living vampire squids remained extremely rare until deep-sea exploration technologies began to reveal the animals in their natural surroundings. Footage captured by remotely operated vehicles shows them hovering gently within the water column, their dark bodies illuminated by faint reflections from the vehicle's lights. In these moments, the vampire squid appears almost suspended between movement and stillness, its cloak-like arms drifting softly as it gathers the slow fall of organic matter. Within the oxygen-poor depths where it lives, this ancient lineage continues its calm existence, shaped by an environment where patience and efficiency remain the keys to survival. A small octopus sometimes appears in the quiet darkness of the deep ocean, moving with a grace that seems almost weightless. Instead of darting or crawling as many of its relatives do, this animal glides slowly through the water, its body rising and falling in smooth pulses. On either side of its rounded head extend two delicate fins that resemble soft ears, giving the creature its well-known name, the dumbo octopus. These fins sit above the octopus's large eyes and provide the primary method of movement. By gently flapping them in steady rhythms, the animal propels itself forward with minimal effort. The motion resembles the slow wings of a bird moving through air, though here the surrounding water carries the animal in quiet suspension. The body of the dumbo octopus forms a compact, rounded shape. Its 8 arms extend outward beneath the mantle and are connected by a thin web of skin. When the arms spread apart, the web creates a soft umbrella-like structure that helps the animal steer and stabilize its position in the water. Unlike many shallow water octopuses, the dumbo octopus rarely relies on powerful jets of water for movement. Instead, the gentle flapping of its fins allows it to drift efficiently through the surrounding currents. This method of locomotion conserves energy, an important advantage in an environment where food may appear only occasionally. Dumbo octopuses belong to a group known as serrate octopods, distinguished by the small hair-like filaments that line the edges of their arms. These structures, called cirri, assist with feeding by guiding captured prey toward the mouth. Between the arms lies the beak typical of octopus species, capable of breaking apart small animals before consumption. The prey of the dumbo octopus often consists of tiny crustaceans, worms, and other invertebrates drifting near the seafloor. Rather than chasing these animals, the octopus descends gently toward them, enveloping the prey within the soft web between its arms. Once the prey becomes enclosed, the cirri guide it inward, where the beak begins the process of feeding. Many dumbo octopus species inhabit depths greater than 3,000 meters, making them some of the deepest living octopuses known. These depths lie far below the zones where most cephalopods spend their lives. The environment here is cold and stable, with immense pressure pressing steadily from all sides. The bodies of dumbo octopuses reflect these conditions. Their tissues remain soft and flexible, allowing them to function comfortably under extreme pressure. Because they do not rely on speed or aggressive pursuit, their muscles remain lighter than those of many other cephalopods. Encounters with dumbo octopuses were once extremely rare, known mostly from specimens collected accidentally during deep-sea trawling. In recent decades, however, remotely operated vehicles exploring the ocean floor have recorded these animals moving gently above the sediment. The footage often reveals the octopus floating just above the seabed, its fins beating slowly, while the arms trail beneath the body. The animal occasionally tilts or turns, adjusting its course with subtle movements of the webbed arms. Each motion appears measured and calm, reflecting a life shaped by the quiet rhythms of deep water. Unlike some of their relatives, dumbo octopuses do not produce ink as a defensive response. In the depths where they live, the thick darkness would make such a cloud ineffective. Instead, their primary protection comes from their ability to remain inconspicuous within the vast, open spaces of the seafloor environment. The rounded shape and slow movements allow the animal to blend easily with the drifting particles and faint currents that pass through its habitat. Predators searching for more active prey may overlook such a gentle presence. Within these deep regions, the dumbo octopus continues its quiet journey above the ocean floor, carried forward by the soft rhythm of its fins. Its graceful movement reflects a life adapted not to speed or pursuit, but to patience and balance within one of the planet's most remote environments. In certain depths, where the water grows colder and heavier, a small fish moves through the darkness with a face that seems almost exaggerated in its design. Its body remains compact and muscular, yet its mouth stretches wide across the head, revealing teeth that appear far too large for such a modest creature. This is the fangtooth fish, one of the most striking predators inhabiting the deep ocean. The name fangtooth comes from the pair of enormous teeth that rise from the lower jaw. These fangs extend upwards so dramatically that special pockets have formed in the roof of the mouth to accommodate them when the jaws close. Without these recesses, the teeth would pierce the fish's own skull. The result is a mouth that appears permanently armed with curved ivory spikes, even when the animal remains at rest. Despite this formidable appearance, the fangtooth fish rarely grows longer than about 16 centimeters. Its head, however, occupies a large portion of that length, creating the impression of a predator built almost entirely around its jaws. The teeth themselves remain slender and sharply pointed, forming a structure well suited for gripping prey in an environment where a missed opportunity might not return for some time. The body of the fangtooth carries a dark coloration that blends easily with the surrounding water. Small eyes sit above the large mouth, though in the depths where the fish lives, vision plays only a limited role. Instead, the animal relies heavily on sensitive lateral line organs that detect vibrations traveling through the water. These sensory structures allow the fish to perceive subtle movements nearby. When another creature swims within range, even the faint disturbance produced by moving fins can reveal its presence. Guided by these signals, the fangtooth fish positions itself carefully before striking with sudden precision. Most adult fangtooth fish inhabit depths between 500 and 5,000 meters. At these levels, the ocean environment remains cold and stable, with immense pressure pressing steadily from all directions. Many animals that live here possess compact bodies and slow metabolisms, adaptations that help them endure long periods without food. The fangtooth fish shares these traits. It moves deliberately through its environment, conserving energy while waiting for prey to appear. When an opportunity arises, the fish lunges forward and closes its powerful jaws around the captured animal. The large fangs prevent escape, ensuring that even slippery prey cannot easily slip free. An unusual aspect of the fangtooth fish lies in the transformation it undergoes during its early life stages. Juveniles appear so different from adults that they were once believed to belong to entirely separate species. Young fangtooth fish possess much smaller teeth and relatively large eyes compared with their body size. Their bodies also carry a lighter coloration and a more elongated shape. These differences reflect the distinct habitats that juveniles occupy before descending into deeper water. During this stage of life, the young fish inhabit shallower zones where light remains slightly more abundant and prey animals differ from those found in deeper layers. As the fish grows, its appearance changes gradually. The eyes become proportionally smaller, while the jaw enlarges and the dramatic fangs begin to develop. The body darkens and thickens, preparing the animal for life in deeper regions of the ocean. Eventually, the fully developed adult emerges, carrying the distinctive features that give the species its name. The transformation reflects the shifting challenges encountered as the fish migrates downward through the water column. Within its remote habitat, the fangtooth fish continues its quiet search for prey among scattered marine life. Its oversized teeth and powerful jaws reveal a predator carefully adapted to an environment where each successful capture carries great importance. Though small in size, the fangtooth fish stands as one of the most memorable examples of how deep ocean animals evolve forms that appear unusual when compared with creatures of shallower seas. Its design reflects a life shaped by darkness, pressure, and the long patience required to survive in one of Earth's most remote ecosystems. Among the many hunters that inhabit the deep ocean, one fish carries a set of teeth so unusual that they almost disappear when viewed in water. Suspended within the dim layers of the sea, this predator moves with a slender body and a long, narrow head. Its mouth opens to reveal sharp fangs that seem to fade into the surrounding darkness rather than gleam like ordinary teeth. This animal is known as the dragonfish. The dragonfish belongs to a group of deep-sea predators called stomiids, fish that have developed specialized adaptations for survival where sunlight never reaches. Their bodies tend to be elongated and flexible, allowing them to drift through the water with slow movements that conserve energy. The dragonfish follows this pattern, its thin frame stretching like a shadow through the open water. The most remarkable feature of the dragonfish lies within its jaws. The teeth appear large and sharply pointed, yet they remain almost invisible while submerged. Scientific study has revealed that these teeth are made from a highly transparent structure. Unlike the opaque enamel seen in most vertebrates, the dragonfish's teeth allow light to pass through them rather than reflecting it. This transparency provides a subtle advantage when hunting. In the deep ocean, even the smallest reflection of light can reveal the presence of a predator. If a fish approaches glowing prey or faint bioluminescent signals, reflective teeth might scatter light and alert nearby animals. By possessing nearly invisible teeth, the dragonfish reduces this risk. Its jaws remain concealed until the moment they close around the captured prey. The dragonfish also carries another remarkable adaptation, one that transforms the way it uses light within its environment. Many deep-sea animals produce bioluminescent signals in shades of blue or green, wavelengths that travel most effectively through seawater. The dragonfish, however, possesses the rare ability to produce red bioluminescent light. Along the underside of its head lie small organs that generate this dim red glow. Most animals living in the deep ocean cannot detect red wavelengths because red light disappears quickly in water and rarely exists naturally at great depths. As a result, the dragonfish can illuminate its surroundings with red light that remains invisible to much of the life around it. This ability functions almost like a private lantern. By casting a faint beam of red illumination, the dragonfish can reveal prey that would otherwise remain hidden in darkness. Small fish and crustaceans drifting nearby become visible to the dragonfish's sensitive eyes, while remaining unaware that they have entered the predator's field of vision. The combination of invisible teeth and concealed illumination creates a highly effective hunting strategy. The dragonfish moves quietly through the water, scanning its surroundings with the soft glow of red bioluminescence. When prey appears within range, the fish opens its jaws and lunges forward. The transparent teeth close swiftly around the captured animal before it has time to react. Dragonfish often possess additional light-producing organs arranged along their bodies. These structures, called photophores, emit gentle blue glows that help the fish blend with faint light filtering from above. By matching this dim background illumination, the dragonfish reduces the shadow it casts when viewed from below. Encounters with dragonfish usually occur when deep-sea research vehicles descend through the water column. Cameras occasionally capture these fish, hovering motionless in the darkness, their slender bodies outlined by scattered points of light. In some recordings, the faint red glow from the head becomes visible, revealing the animal's unique ability to produce wavelengths rarely seen in the deep ocean. Through these specialized adaptations, the dragonfish demonstrates how evolution can shape even the smallest details of an animal's anatomy. Teeth that vanish in water and light that remains hidden from other eyes allow this predator to move through its environment with remarkable subtlety. Within the immense darkness of the deep sea, the dragonfish continues its silent patrol, guided by a lantern that only it can see and armed with teeth that reveal themselves only at the final instant of the hunt. Along the drifting layers of the deep ocean, a narrow fish sometimes glides through the water with a mouth that seems almost detached from the rest of its body. Its head appears elongated and delicate, yet the lower jaw extends far downward, connected by slender joints that allow it to open with remarkable range. This unusual predator is known as the stoplight loosejaw. The body of the loosejaw remains thin and lightly built, shaped for slow movement through open water. Unlike fast-swimming predators of shallower seas, this fish relies on patience rather than pursuit. Its muscles remain soft, and its movements unfold gradually, conserving energy in a habitat where meals may be separated by long intervals. The most distinctive feature lies in the design of the jaw itself. The lower jaw hangs loosely from the head, connected by flexible ligaments that allow it to swing downward when the mouth opens. When fully extended, the gape becomes surprisingly large compared with the rest of the fish's slender frame. This wide opening allows the loosejaw to capture prey that might otherwise appear too large for its body. The teeth lining the jaws remain thin and needle-like. They form a delicate cage capable of gripping small fish and crustaceans as they drift through the water. Once the prey enters the open mouth, the jaws close swiftly and the narrow teeth hold the captured animal firmly in place. Yet the loosejaw carries another adaptation that transforms the way it hunts. Beneath each eye lies a small light-producing organ capable of generating bioluminescence. Unlike many deep-sea animals that produce blue light, the loosejaw can emit a dim red glow. This red illumination functions in a remarkable way. Most creatures living in deep water cannot detect red wavelengths because those colors disappear quickly in the upper ocean and rarely exist at depth. As a result, red light remains effectively invisible to many species inhabiting the same environment. The loosejaw uses this property to its advantage. By casting a faint beam of red light ahead of its body, the fish can illuminate nearby prey without revealing its presence. Small animals drifting through the water become visible in this hidden glow, while remaining unaware that they have entered the predator's field of vision. Researchers studying this fish have discovered that the loosejaw's eyes contain specialized pigments capable of detecting these rare wavelengths. This ability allows the fish to perceive the red light it produces while most surrounding animals cannot. As the loosejaw moves through the water, it scans its surroundings using this concealed illumination. When prey appears within range, the fish opens its wide mouth and advances slowly forward. The extended lower jaw swings downward, creating a large opening that surrounds the drifting animal. Once the prey enters the mouth, the jaws close, and the slender teeth secure the capture. The process unfolds quickly, yet the predator itself remains almost invisible in the dark water. The stoplight loosejaw belongs to the same broader family of fishes as the dragonfish, sharing certain characteristics such as elongated bodies and light-producing organs. Both species illustrate how evolution can reshape sensory systems and feeding strategies to suit life in deep marine environments. Observations of loosejaw fish usually occur when remotely operated vehicles descend through the midwater depths. Cameras sometimes record them hovering motionless before drifting gently out of view, their thin bodies outlined by faint reflections from the vehicle's lights. Within their natural habitat, these fish remain subtle presences, moving quietly through immense volumes of water. Their unusual jaws and hidden illumination allow them to exploit opportunities that might escape other predators. In the silent layers where they live, the stoplight loosejaw continues its careful search for prey, guided by a beam of light that few other creatures can perceive and equipped with jaws designed to capture whatever drifts within reach. A thin ribbon of movement sometimes appears in the dark waters far below the surface, revealing a fish whose proportions seem almost unreal. Its body trails behind like a narrow thread, while the front of the animal expands into a large, rounded head that dominates its entire form. This unusual predator is known as the pelican eel, a creature whose remarkable mouth gives it one of the most distinctive silhouettes in the deep ocean. The pelican eel belongs to a group of fish known as sacchopharyngiform eels, animals that possess highly flexible skeletons and elongated bodies. In this species, the body remains surprisingly small compared with the massive head. The thin torso tapers into a delicate tail, while the head forms a wide frame capable of opening to extraordinary dimensions. At the center of this design lies the pelican eel's most striking adaptation, its enormous, expandable mouth. The lower jaw extends forward and downward, connected by elastic tissues that allow the entire mouth to unfold like a large pouch. When fully opened, the mouth can expand to many times the width of the eel's body. This structure resembles the throat pouch of a pelican bird, which inspired the animal's common name. Instead of capturing fish near the water's surface, however, the pelican eel uses its wide mouth to trap prey drifting through the deep ocean. The jaws contain numerous small teeth that help secure captured animals once they enter the mouth. Unlike the large fangs seen in other deep-sea predators, these teeth remain relatively delicate. Their purpose is not to pierce or slice, but to prevent prey from escaping after it has been enveloped by the expanding pouch. When the pelican eel encounters a potential meal, the mouth opens suddenly, forming a large cavity that surrounds the nearby animal. Water rushes inward as the jaws expand, carrying the prey along with it. Once the mouth closes, the captured creature becomes trapped inside the flexible pouch. After the prey has been secured, the eel gradually compresses the pouch, pushing excess water outward while guiding the food toward the throat. This method allows the pelican eel to capture animals larger than its narrow body might otherwise allow. The rest of the eel's anatomy appears light and delicate compared with the oversized head. The muscles remain relatively thin, and the skeleton consists mostly of flexible cartilage. These features allow the eel to move slowly through the water without expending unnecessary energy. At the end of the long tail lies a small light-producing organ that emits a faint glow. Scientists believe this bioluminescent tip may help attract curious prey toward the eel's position, though the exact function continues to be studied. The glow appears subtle, drifting through the water as the eel moves quietly through its environment. Pelican eels usually inhabit depths between 500 and 3,000 meters, regions where the water remains cold and the surrounding space stretches in all directions without obvious boundaries. In these vast areas, encounters between animals occur less frequently than in the more crowded ecosystems near the surface. Because of this isolation, predators, such as the pelican eel, must be prepared to seize any opportunity for food when it appears. The expandable mouth provides a practical solution, allowing the eel to capture prey regardless of whether it matches the narrow proportions of its body. Direct observations of pelican eels remained rare for many years. Most early specimens were discovered accidentally during deep-sea fishing operations, often damaged by the sudden pressure changes of the journey to the surface. More recently, deep-sea exploration vehicles have recorded living individuals drifting through the water column. In these recordings, the eel often appears suspended within the darkness, its large head tilting gently as the body trails behind. The enormous mouth opens occasionally in slow, deliberate motions before closing again as the eel continues its steady glide. Through this unusual anatomy, the pelican eel reveals another example of how life adapts to the unique challenges of the deep ocean. Its small body and oversized head form a design perfectly suited to an environment where prey may appear unexpectedly and vanish just as quickly. Within these quiet depths, the pelican eel continues its slow journey, carrying its remarkable mouth through the vast open waters where patience and opportunity shape the rhythms of survival. Across the quiet plains of the deep ocean floor, a creature sometimes emerges from the sediment with a shape that seems strangely familiar. Its body appears broad and segmented, armored with overlapping plates that curve gently across its back. When seen from above, the animal resembles the small pill bugs that wander through soil and fallen leaves on land. This distant resemblance is no coincidence. The giant isopod belongs to the same large group of crustaceans, though it has grown to a scale far beyond its terrestrial relatives. The body of a giant isopod forms a sturdy oval nearly the size of a dinner plate. Each segment carries a rigid shell that protects the soft tissues beneath. 7 pairs of walking legs extend from the underside, allowing the animal to move steadily across the seabed. The legs work in coordinated rhythm, lifting the heavy body forward through the slow currents that drift along the ocean floor. At the front of the body sits a rounded head bearing 2 large compound eyes. These eyes remain widely spaced and fixed in place, giving the isopod a constant view of its surroundings. In the dim environments where it lives, the eyes help detect subtle movement and faint glimmers of light produced by other organisms. The giant isopod usually inhabits depths between 500 and 2,500 meters. These regions of the seafloor often appear vast and empty, with soft sediment stretching across wide distances. Food in such environments arrives only occasionally, drifting downward from higher layers or falling suddenly when the remains of larger animals settle to the bottom. Unlike active hunters, the giant isopod survives primarily as a scavenger. Its sensitive antennae extend forward as it walks, brushing the surrounding water and sediment for traces of chemical signals released by decaying organic material. When the scent of food appears, the isopod follows the trail patiently across the seafloor. Upon reaching a carcass or other food source, the isopod uses its powerful mouthparts to tear away pieces of tissue. The mouth contains several pairs of small appendages that work together to break down the material before it enters the digestive tract. During these feeding events, the animal may consume large amounts of food in a single session. This behavior reflects one of the giant isopod's most remarkable adaptations. After feeding heavily, the animal can survive for extraordinarily long periods without eating again. Observations in controlled environments have shown that giant isopods may endure several years between meals. Their slow metabolism allows them to conserve energy while waiting for the next opportunity to feed. The body of the isopod supports this strategy through efficient storage of nutrients. When food becomes available, the digestive system processes large quantities of material, storing energy within the tissues. Over time, the animal draws gradually upon these reserves as it continues its slow movement across the seabed. The outer shell of the giant isopod also provides a measure of defense. The armored plates form a protective barrier against predators that may attempt to bite or crush the animal. If threatened, the isopod can curl its body slightly inward, drawing its legs beneath the protective plates. Although their appearance may seem unusual at first glance, giant isopods represent an example of deep-sea gigantism, a phenomenon in which certain animals grow much larger than their relatives in shallower habitats. Scientists believe that colder temperatures, reduced predation, and the slow pace of deep ocean life may contribute to this increase in size. Encounters with living giant isopods often occur when research vehicles explore the ocean floor. Cameras sometimes capture them walking slowly across the sediment, their segmented bodies reflecting the faint beams of artificial light. In aquariums where they have occasionally been displayed, the animals move with the same unhurried rhythm seen in the wild. Their large eyes remain steady while the legs carry them forward across the tank floor. Through this quiet persistence, the giant isopod continues its role within the deep ocean ecosystem. As a scavenger, it helps recycle the remains of animals that descend from higher layers, returning nutrients to the surrounding environment. Across the wide seafloor, where food arrives only occasionally, the giant isopod moves patiently through its habitat, sustained by a biology shaped for endurance in one of Earth's most distant landscapes. On certain volcanic ridges of the deep ocean floor, where warm mineral-rich water rises from cracks in the Earth's crust, a pale crustacean moves slowly across the surrounding rocks. Its body appears compact and armored, yet the most striking feature lies along its front limbs. Thick clusters of fine white filaments cover the crab's claws and arms, giving the animal an appearance that resembles soft fur drifting in the water. This unusual species has come to be known as the yeti crab. The yeti crab was first documented during deep-sea exploration in the early 21st century, when research vehicles descended to hydrothermal vent fields along the Pacific seafloor. These vents release heated fluids, rich in dissolved chemicals, forming environments that support entire communities of organisms adapted to extreme conditions. Within this setting, the yeti crab occupies a unique role. Its pale body measures only a few centimeters across, while its long front claws extend outward like slender branches. Along these claws grow dense layers of hair, like filaments called setae. These structures do not function as fur in the usual sense. Instead, they serve as a surface where microscopic life can grow. The filaments provide an ideal environment for colonies of specialized bacteria. These microbes thrive by using chemical compounds present in the vent fluids, particularly hydrogen sulfide and methane. Through chemical reactions known as chemosynthesis, the bacteria transform these substances into organic material that can support life. Rather than searching widely for food, the yeti crab cultivates these bacterial colonies directly upon its own body. The crab gently waves its claws in the surrounding water, exposing the filaments to the mineral-rich currents that flow through the vent environment. This movement allows the bacteria to access the chemical ingredients they require to grow. Over time, the bacterial colonies multiply along the crab's filaments, forming dense layers across the claws. When the crab requires nourishment, it brings the claws toward its mouth and scrapes off portions of the bacteria, consuming them as food. In this way, the animal maintains a small living garden that travels with it wherever it moves. This relationship between the crab and its bacteria represents a form of symbiosis. The bacteria gain a stable surface where they can grow while remaining close to the chemical-rich water emerging from the vents. In return, the crab receives a reliable source of nutrition within an environment where ordinary food sources may be scarce. The pale coloration of the yeti crab reflects the darkness of its habitat. In the absence of sunlight, pigmentation offers little advantage, and many animals living near hydrothermal vents appear nearly white. The crab's eyes remain small, while its antennae and limbs carry sensory hairs that help it detect chemical signals in the surrounding water. The environment surrounding hydrothermal vents can be both dynamic and challenging. Temperatures may change rapidly over short distances, and mineral particles often drift through the water. The yeti crab remains well suited to these conditions, moving cautiously across the rocky surfaces where vent fluids mix with colder seawater. Clusters of yeti crabs sometimes gather near the edges of vent openings, where chemical concentrations support strong bacterial growth without exposing the animals to the hottest water. Here the crabs continue their slow, waving movements, tending their bacterial gardens as the currents pass through their filaments. Encounters with yeti crabs occur primarily through the cameras of deep-sea exploration vehicles. The footage reveals small groups of the animals standing close together among the dark rocks, their white filaments drifting gently in the water. Against the black background of the seafloor, the crabs appear almost luminous. Within this unusual ecosystem, powered by chemical energy rather than sunlight, the yeti crab represents another pathway through which life adapts to extreme conditions. Its reliance on cultivated bacteria transforms the simple motion of its claws into a steady act of nourishment. Amid the mineral plumes rising from the seafloor, the yeti crab continues its quiet routine, carrying its living harvest upon its own limbs, while the deep ocean currents flow steadily around it. In certain remote regions of the ocean floor, the earth itself releases streams of heated water through fractures in the crust. These openings, known as hydrothermal vents, rise like chimneys from the seabed, sending dark, mineral-rich plumes upward into the surrounding sea. Around these vents, life gathers in surprising abundance, forming communities unlike any other ecosystem on the planet. The water emerging from hydrothermal vents begins its journey deep within the Earth's crust. Seawater seeps downward through cracks in the rock and becomes heated by underlying magma. As it warms, the water dissolves minerals from the surrounding stone before rising again toward the seafloor. When the fluid finally escapes through vent openings, it can reach temperatures exceeding 350 degrees Celsius. Despite these extreme conditions, the surrounding environment supports dense populations of living organisms. Tall tube worms, clusters of clams, delicate shrimp, and unusual crabs gather around the vent structures, forming vibrant communities against the dark volcanic rock. For many years, scientists believed that such ecosystems could not exist in the deep ocean, where sunlight never reaches. In most environments on Earth, life depends on energy from the sun. Plants and microscopic algae convert sunlight into chemical energy through photosynthesis, forming the foundation of food chains that support animals across land and sea. The discovery of hydrothermal vent ecosystems revealed a completely different source of energy. Instead of sunlight, the foundation of these communities rests upon chemical reactions. Certain bacteria living near the vents are capable of a process called chemosynthesis. These microbes use chemical compounds present in the vent fluids, particularly hydrogen sulfide, as an energy source. Through specialized metabolic pathways, the bacteria transform these chemicals into organic material that can sustain life. This process forms the base of the entire vent ecosystem. Some animals, such as giant tube worms, host these bacteria within their own tissues. The worms provide the bacteria with a stable environment and access to the vent chemicals, while the bacteria supply the worms with nutrients produced through chemosynthesis. Other animals feed directly on the bacteria or on organisms that consume them. Crabs, shrimp, and fish move through the vent communities, participating in a food web entirely separate from the sun-driven systems found near the surface. The existence of such ecosystems remained unknown until a remarkable expedition in 1977. During a deep-sea exploration of the Galapagos Rift, a team of scientists used a research submersible to examine the seafloor along a mid-ocean ridge. As the vehicle approached newly discovered vent structures, the researchers observed large groups of unfamiliar animals clustered around the openings. The sight came as a profound surprise. At depths exceeding 2,000 meters, scientists had expected to find only sparse life scattered across the sediment. Instead, they encountered thriving communities filled with species that had never been seen before. The discovery revealed that life could flourish in environments powered not by sunlight, but by the internal energy of the Earth itself. This realization transformed scientific understanding of the deep ocean and expanded ideas about where life might exist. Since that first encounter, hydrothermal vents have been found along many oceanic ridges and volcanic regions. Each new vent field reveals unique combinations of species adapted to the specific chemical conditions present in that location. The animals inhabiting these ecosystems often display remarkable tolerance to both heat and toxic compounds. Many possess specialized tissues that allow them to regulate exposure to the chemicals released by the vents, maintaining a delicate balance between nourishment and survival. From a distance, the vent communities appear like islands of activity within an otherwise quiet landscape. Chimney structures rise from the seabed, releasing shimmering plumes of mineral particles while clusters of animals gather along their sides. Within these unusual habitats, life persists through a partnership between geology and biology. Chemical energy rising from deep within the planet supports organisms that would otherwise find no sustenance in the surrounding darkness. Amid the drifting mineral clouds and slowly shifting currents, hydrothermal vent ecosystems continue to thrive, sustained by forces that originate far beneath the ocean floor. Clusters of pale towers sometimes rise from the dark sea floor near volcanic ridges, forming dense forests that sway gently in the surrounding water. From a distance, these structures resemble long white tubes anchored firmly to the rock, their tops crowned with soft crimson plumes. These organisms are giant tube worms, animals that form some of the most remarkable colonies in deep ocean environments. Each individual worm lives within a protective tube composed of chitin, a durable biological material also found in the shells of crustaceans. The tube anchors securely to the rocky surfaces near hydrothermal vents, where warm mineral-rich water flows through cracks in the seabed. From within this shelter, the worm extends its soft red plume into the surrounding currents. The plume serves as the worm's primary interface with the environment. It contains an intricate network of blood vessels that absorb dissolved gases from the water, particularly oxygen and hydrogen sulfide. These compounds travel through the worm's circulatory system toward a specialized internal organ known as the trophosome. Within the trophosome reside colonies of symbiotic bacteria that perform an extraordinary function. Using chemical energy from hydrogen sulfide, the bacteria carry out chemosynthesis, producing organic molecules that nourish the worm. Through this relationship, the worm receives all of the nutrients it requires without needing to consume food in the traditional sense. This unusual arrangement explains one of the most surprising aspects of the giant tube worm's anatomy. The animal possesses no mouth, no stomach, and no digestive tract. During early stages of development, the worm briefly forms a simple digestive system, but as the bacterial symbiosis becomes established, these organs gradually disappear. In their place, the trophosome expands, filling much of the worm's internal cavity with living bacterial partners. The worms rely entirely on this partnership for survival. Their red plumes continually gather oxygen and hydrogen sulfide from the surrounding water, transporting these compounds to the bacteria housed inside the trophosome. In return, the bacteria produce nutrients that sustain the worm's growth. Over time, the worms grow to remarkable lengths. Many individuals reach more than 2 meters from the base of the tube to the tip of the plume. When hundreds of these animals cluster together around active vent openings, the result resembles a dense underwater meadow rising from the volcanic rock. The red color of the plume comes from a specialized form of hemoglobin present in the worm's blood. This molecule can bind both oxygen and hydrogen sulfide simultaneously without the two chemicals interfering with one another. Such an adaptation allows the worm to transport the ingredients required for chemosynthesis efficiently through its body. The colonies form only where vent conditions provide the right balance of chemicals and temperature. Too close to the vent opening, the water becomes dangerously hot. Too far away, the concentration of hydrogen sulfide declines. The worms therefore occupy narrow zones where the chemical flow remains steady but not overwhelming. Within these zones, the worms often grow in large aggregations, their white tubes packed closely together along the rocky surfaces. The red plumes extend outward into the water like soft blossoms, gently moving as currents pass through the colony. Other animals frequently gather among the tubes. Small crabs and shrimp navigate through the narrow spaces, feeding on microorganisms and organic debris carried by the vent currents. In this way, the tube worm colonies become central structures within the surrounding ecosystem. When disturbed, the worms can retract their plumes quickly into the protective tubes. The crimson structures vanish in an instant, leaving only the pale tubes visible against the dark rock. Once the disturbance fades, the plumes slowly emerge again, resuming their steady exchange with the surrounding water. In the silent landscapes of hydrothermal vent fields, giant tube worm colonies continue to flourish through their unique biological partnership. Their towering forms reveal how life can adapt in ways that seem almost improbable, thriving without sunlight and without conventional feeding. Within these mineral-rich waters rising from the Earth's crust, the worms stand anchored to the sea floor, sustained entirely by the unseen labor of microscopic companions living quietly within their own bodies. A faint shape sometimes drifts through the open water far below the surface, yet at first it seems almost impossible to see. Only the soft outline of movement reveals that something is present at all. This delicate creature is known as the glass squid, an animal whose body has become so transparent that it nearly disappears within the surrounding sea. The mantle of the glass squid forms a slender, elongated structure composed of clear tissue. Through this transparent body, internal organs remain visible as pale structures suspended within the animal's frame. Muscles, digestive organs, and delicate circulatory pathways appear like soft shadows enclosed in a living vessel of glass. Transparency offers a powerful advantage in the midwater environment. In regions where the seafloor lies far below and the surface remains distant above, animals drift within a vast three-dimensional space with few places to hide. For many species, the best strategy becomes simple invisibility. A transparent body allows light to pass through with minimal scattering, reducing the chance that predators or prey will notice the animal's presence. The glass squid has refined this strategy with remarkable precision. Its tissues contain very few pigments, and the internal structures that cannot remain transparent are arranged in ways that minimize their visibility. Some organs appear small and compact, while others align carefully along the body's central axis. Movement through the water occurs through gentle pulses of the mantle. By contracting its muscular body, the squid draws water into a cavity and then expels it through a narrow siphon. Each pulse propels the animal forward in smooth, measured bursts. Between these motions, the squid often drifts quietly, allowing the surrounding currents to carry it through the open ocean. Large eyes occupy the front of the head, adapted to detect faint traces of light that penetrate from distant layers above. These eyes help the squid monitor the silhouettes of passing animals while remaining alert to the presence of potential predators. In the dim conditions of the midwater realm, even the smallest visual cues can reveal important information. Yet the glass squid possesses an additional method of concealment beyond transparency alone. Along portions of its body lie specialized organs called photophores. These structures produce soft, bioluminescent light emitted through controlled chemical reactions within the tissues. The light generated by these photophores serves a subtle purpose. When viewed from below, many animals appear as dark shapes against the faint glow filtering downward from higher waters. Predators searching upward often rely on these silhouettes to detect prey. The glass squid counters this effect through a strategy known as counter-illumination. By producing light along the underside of its body, the squid can match the brightness of the faint illumination arriving from above. When the intensity of its own glow closely matches the surrounding light, the animal's outline fades into the background. Through careful control of these photophores, the squid effectively erases its silhouette. From below, it becomes nearly indistinguishable from the dim field of light that fills the upper water column. This combination of transparency and bioluminescent camouflage allows the glass squid to remain hidden within one of the ocean's most exposed habitats. While many animals rely on speed or armor for protection, the squid survives through subtle manipulation of light itself. Encounters with glass squid often occur during deep-sea exploration, when research vehicles illuminate the surrounding water with bright beams. Against this artificial light, the squid briefly becomes visible, its transparent mantle reflecting delicate highlights as it drifts across the camera's view. In natural conditions, however, the animal remains far more difficult to detect. Suspended in the water column, its clear body and carefully balanced glow blend seamlessly with the surrounding environment. Through these elegant adaptations, the glass squid transforms its entire body into a form of camouflage. In the immense open waters where shelter is scarce and visibility extends in all directions, this quiet mastery of light allows the animal to travel almost unseen through the hidden layers of the sea. In the quiet water column far from shore, delicate forms sometimes drift past like fragments of living glass. Their bodies appear soft and transparent, yet along their sides, faint bands of color ripple and shimmer as they move. These luminous creatures are comb jellies, members of one of the most ancient animal lineages still inhabiting the oceans today. Comb jellies, also known as ctenophores, possess bodies shaped like elongated spheres or soft ovals. Their tissues remain almost entirely transparent, allowing internal structures to appear as pale outlines suspended within the body. When light passes through the surrounding water, the animals often seem nearly invisible, except for the subtle flashes of color that travel across their surfaces. The most distinctive feature of a comb jelly lies in the rows of tiny hair-like structures that run from one end of the body to the other. These rows are known as comb rows, and each contains thousands of microscopic cilia arranged in tightly packed plates. When these cilia beat in coordinated waves, they propel the animal gently through the water. Unlike the pulsing motion seen in many jellyfish, comb jellies move with extraordinary smoothness. The beating cilia create slow-flowing currents that carry the animal forward almost silently. As the cilia move, they catch and refract the surrounding light, producing shifting bands of color that resemble miniature rainbows sliding across the body. This shimmering effect does not come from the animals producing light directly. Instead, the rainbow colors arise when light bends through the moving comb plates. The constant motion of the cilia changes the angles at which light passes through them, creating the traveling waves of color that observers often notice first. Comb jellies belong to an ancient group of animals that diverged early in the history of complex life. Fossil evidence and genetic studies suggest that their lineage may have appeared more than 500 million years ago. Despite the immense passage of time, their fundamental body plan has remained remarkably consistent. The bodies of comb jellies consist largely of water, supported by delicate structural tissues. Within this soft framework lies a simple digestive system and a network of nerves that coordinate movement. Although their anatomy appears minimal compared with more complex animals, it functions efficiently for life in open water. Many comb jellies capture prey using long tentacles that extend outward from the body. These tentacles carry specialized cells called colloblasts, which release sticky threads when they come into contact with small animals. Rather than delivering venom, the colloblasts entangle prey with adhesive filaments that hold the captured organism in place. Once the prey becomes trapped, the tentacle retracts slowly toward the mouth, located at one end of the body. Tiny crustaceans, larval fish, and other drifting creatures form much of the comb jelly's diet. The feeding process unfolds gradually as the animal draws its catch inward through the soft tissues surrounding the mouth. Although comb jellies may appear fragile, they occupy important roles within marine ecosystems. Some species exist in shallow coastal waters, while others drift through deeper regions of the ocean where sunlight grows faint. Their transparent bodies and slow movements allow them to remain inconspicuous in environments where predators and prey share the same open space. Occasionally, research vehicles exploring the ocean depths record comb jellies gliding through the water column. Against the beams of artificial light, the moving comb rows create brilliant waves of color that ripple along the animal's body. The patterns travel from end to end, like luminous currents flowing across the surface. In natural conditions, these displays appear far subtler, illuminated only by the dim light that filters from distant layers above. Even so, the shifting bands of color continue to slide across the comb rows as the animal moves forward. Through their ancient design and delicate motion, comb jellies reveal another form of life adapted to the immense open waters of the sea. Their bodies transform simple movement into flowing displays of light, carrying a lineage that has persisted through hundreds of millions of years. Within the drifting currents of the ocean, these transparent travelers continue their quiet passage, their rainbow patterns flickering gently as the comb rows guide them onward through the vast water column. High above the seafloor, where ocean currents move steadily through the water column, a delicate structure sometimes unfolds from a rocky perch. At first, it appears like a drifting cloud of filaments, a complex pattern spreading slowly outward into the passing flow. This intricate living form belongs to the basket star, an unusual relative of sea stars whose arms divide again and again into elaborate branching networks. A basket star begins with a central disc from which several long arms extend. Unlike the thick arms of common sea stars, these limbs divide repeatedly along their length. Each branch splits into smaller branches, and those divide again into even finer filaments. The result resembles a living lattice, a vast net formed entirely of flexible skeletal segments and soft tissue. When the animal rests during calm periods, the arms often coil inward around the central disc. In this compact form, the basket star appears almost like a closed knot, clinging quietly to coral, rock, or the stalk of a sponge. But as currents strengthen, the arms slowly unfurl. Branch by branch, the structure expands outward, spreading into the surrounding water until it forms a wide, circular web. Hundreds of delicate filaments extend through the flow, each lined with tiny tube feet and microscopic spines that help capture passing food. Ocean currents carry countless drifting organisms known collectively as plankton. These tiny animals and plant-like forms travel through the water column in immense numbers, moving wherever the currents lead. For a basket star, the steady movement of plankton-rich water provides an opportunity to feed without pursuing prey. As the current passes through the expanded arms, plankton collide gently with the fine branches. Small hook-like structures and sticky surfaces hold the drifting organisms in place. Gradually, the captured particles accumulate along the filaments. Once enough food gathers, sections of the arm begin to curl inward. The branches bend slowly toward the central disc, carrying the trapped plankton along the branching pathways. Through coordinated movements, the food travels along the arms until it reaches the mouth located on the underside of the central disc. The process unfolds gradually and continuously. While some branches transport captured food inward, others remain extended within the current, maintaining the wide feeding net. In this way, the basket star can harvest plankton almost constantly, while the surrounding water continues to flow. The skeleton of the basket star consists of many small articulated plates connected by flexible joints. This segmented structure allows the arms to bend and coil with remarkable fluidity. Despite the intricate appearance of the branching arms, the entire structure remains surprisingly strong and resilient. Many basket stars prefer habitats where steady currents deliver a reliable supply of plankton. They often anchor themselves to coral reefs, rocky outcrops, or deep sea formations where water movement remains consistent. From these vantage points, the animals extend their arms outward like patient fishermen casting a net into an invisible river. Some species inhabit shallow tropical reefs, where divers occasionally encounter them during nighttime explorations. Others live much deeper, attached to cold water corals or rocky slopes far below the reach of sunlight. In these darker habitats, the branching arms may expand into wide circular patterns that sway gently in the slow, deep currents. The overall appearance of a feeding basket star can be mesmerizing. Each arm divides into dozens of smaller branches, and each of those splits again into still finer strands. Seen together, the expanded network resembles a living fractal pattern suspended in the water. When disturbances occur, The arms withdraw quickly. The elaborate lattice contracts inward, coiling around the central disc until the complex web collapses into a compact bundle. In this resting form, the basket star blends closely with the surface to which it clings. Yet when the surrounding current resumes its steady movement, the branches gradually unfold once more, the intricate arms spread outward, rebuilding their delicate net in the flowing water. Through this elegant architecture, the basket star transforms drifting ocean currents into a continuous source of nourishment. Its branching limbs gather the smallest travelers of the sea, quietly harvesting life from the invisible streams that move through the ocean's vast and silent spaces. Across wide plains of deep ocean sediment, where the sea floor stretches outward in quiet gray expanses, small rounded shapes sometimes appear moving slowly over the soft ground. Their bodies seem gently inflated, supported by several short tube-like legs that lift them just above the sediment. These unusual animals are known as sea pigs, a type of deep-sea sea cucumber adapted to life on the vast abyssal plains. The body of a sea pig is soft and translucent, often tinted with pale pink or faint purple hues. Unlike the elongated forms of many sea cucumbers, its shape appears somewhat compact and swollen, giving the animal its curious nickname. Several flexible legs extend from the underside, allowing the creature to walk across the seafloor in slow, careful steps. Each movement presses lightly into the sediment before lifting again. The pace remains unhurried, almost drifting in rhythm with the surrounding stillness. In the immense calm of the abyssal environment, speed offers little advantage. The sea pig instead moves steadily across the seabed, guided by subtle chemical cues in the sediment. The ocean floor at these depths receives a constant but sparse rain of organic material descending from the distant surface far above. Tiny fragments of plankton, bits of plant matter, and the remains of microscopic organisms drift downward through kilometers of water before settling onto the seabed. Over time, this material forms a thin layer of nutrient-rich sediment. Sea pigs specialize in feeding upon this layer. Their mouthparts gather small amounts of sediment as they move, extracting the organic particles hidden within the fine grains. The remaining mineral material passes harmlessly through the digestive system and returns to the seabed behind them. Although the feeding process appears simple, it allows sea pigs to thrive in an environment where food arrives slowly and unpredictably. By continuously processing the surface layers of sediment, they gather nourishment from the faint traces of life that fall from the ocean above. Their legs serve not only for movement, but also for stability. The abyssal plains consist of extremely soft sediments that shift easily when disturbed. The flexible appendages distribute the animal's weight gently across the surface, preventing it from sinking too deeply into the seafloor. Some species of sea pigs also possess small sensory structures along their bodies. These delicate appendages help detect chemical signals within the surrounding sediment, guiding the animal toward areas where organic material has accumulated more densely. When viewed through the cameras of deep-sea exploration vehicles, groups of sea pigs sometimes appear scattered across the seabed like small living lanterns resting upon the sediment. Their translucent bodies catch the vehicle's light softly, revealing the slow and deliberate movements of their legs as they continue their quiet search for food. Certain regions of the deep ocean host surprisingly large gatherings of these animals. In areas where the downward rain of organic particles becomes slightly richer, sea pigs may appear in clusters spread across the sediment plains. Each individual continues its solitary path, yet together they form gentle constellations across the seafloor landscape. The environment surrounding them remains almost entirely still. Water temperatures hover near freezing, and sunlight never penetrates to these depths. Yet within this quiet world, Life persists through patient adaptation to the slow rhythms of the deep ocean. Sea pigs represent one of many organisms that transform the abyssal plains into active ecosystems. By consuming organic particles within the sediment, they help recycle nutrients that support other forms of deep sea life. Their feeding activity stirs the upper layers of the seabed, subtly reshaping the surface over time. The gentle movements of these animals often continue unnoticed across immense stretches of ocean floor. Each step presses softly into the sediment before lifting again, leaving faint impressions that gradually fade as particles settle back into place. In the silent darkness of the abyss, the sea pig continues its quiet journey over the seafloor, walking patiently across landscapes shaped by gravity, time, and the distant life of the ocean far above. Far below the restless surface of the oceans, the seafloor eventually widens into enormous plains that stretch beyond the limits of sight. These regions lie thousands of meters beneath the waves, where mountains, ridges, and trenches fade into broad landscapes of fine sediment. Known as abyssal plains, they form one of the largest habitats on Earth, covering immense portions of the ocean basin. The ground here appears smooth and quiet, built from layers of microscopic particles that have settled gradually over countless years. Tiny fragments descend from the distant world above, drifting downward through the water column until they settle softly across the seafloor. Each grain becomes part of an ever-growing blanket of sediment that spreads across the plains. Within this environment, pressure rises to extraordinary levels. The immense weight of the ocean presses down from every direction, creating conditions far different from those near the surface. Temperatures remain cold and stable, often only a few degrees above freezing, while sunlight never reaches these depths. Despite these extremes, life continues to inhabit the abyssal plain in remarkable forms. Fish and invertebrates, adapted to this environment, move slowly across the sediment or drift quietly above it. Their bodies reveal solutions shaped by millions of years of evolution under crushing pressure and near perpetual darkness. Many abyssal fish possess soft tissues and flexible skeletons that withstand the surrounding pressure without requiring heavy bone structures. Their bodies often appear slender and elongated, allowing them to move with minimal energy through the dense water. Some species carry enlarged mouths or extendable jaws, enabling them to consume prey whenever the rare opportunity appears. Food arrives only gradually in these depths. Organic material descending from the upper ocean forms the primary source of nourishment. As this faint rain of particles settles across the seabed, numerous animals feed upon it directly or prey upon smaller creatures that gather around the scattered nutrients. Certain fish hover just above the sediment, their fins moving slowly as they search the seafloor for small animals. Others patrol the dim water column, detecting vibrations or faint chemical signals that reveal the presence of potential prey. In a habitat where meals appear unpredictably, many species remain prepared to consume almost anything they encounter. Invertebrates populate the abyssal plains in great variety. Sea cucumbers, brittle stars, polychaete worms, and delicate crustaceans move across the sediment in steady patterns. Some burrow beneath the surface, while others extend feeding structures into the water above the seabed. A few animals drift gently above the plains rather than walking directly upon them. Translucent jelly-like organisms rise and fall in the currents, while fragile siphonophores trail long chains of feeding structures through the water. These drifting forms capture small organisms that pass through the open depths. Adaptations to the darkness appear throughout this community. Many abyssal creatures possess sensitive eyes capable of detecting the faintest traces of bioluminescent light. Others rely more heavily on chemical perception, sensing dissolved compounds released by nearby animals. Bioluminescence itself becomes an important feature of life in the abyss. Numerous species produce soft glows through specialized organs within their bodies. These lights may attract prey, confuse predators, or allow individuals to recognize members of their own species within the vast darkness. Movement across the abyssal plane tends to remain slow and deliberate. Energy must be conserved carefully when food arrives only in small amounts. Animals drift, crawl, or glide through the water with patient efficiency, rarely expending unnecessary motion. Although the landscape appears quiet at first glance, the abyssal plains host a complex web of interactions unfolding continuously across the sediment. Predators hunt among the drifting particles, scavengers process the remains of fallen organisms, and countless smaller animals transform the thin layers of organic material that settle from above. In this immense habitat, life persists across distances that rival entire continents. The abyssal plains extend silently beneath the oceans, supporting communities adapted to pressure, darkness, and scarcity. Across these broad seafloor landscapes, creatures shaped by the deep ocean continue their slow journeys through the sediment and water, inhabiting one of the largest and least visible environments on the planet. A slow beam of artificial light often marks the arrival of a visitor in the deepest parts of the ocean. The glow moves carefully through the darkness, carried by a machine descending from a distant ship far above. These remotely operated vehicles, known as ROVs, have opened windows into regions that remained unseen for most of human history. Suspended by long cables or guided by delicate thrusters, the vehicles drift just above the seafloor or through the open water column. Cameras mounted on their frames observe the surroundings continuously, recording landscapes and animals that have rarely encountered any form of illumination. Before the development of such machines, knowledge of deep ocean life depended largely on nets and trawls. These methods brought animals to the surface, but often damaged fragile bodies or obscured their natural appearance. Many species dissolved or collapsed as pressure changed during the long ascent. ROVs introduced a different approach. By observing animals directly within their natural environment, scientists could finally witness behaviors and movements that had never been documented before. The cameras capture creatures drifting, crawling, or swimming through the deep water exactly as they live. The results have revealed an astonishing diversity of life. Nearly every expedition uncovers organisms that appear unfamiliar, even to experienced researchers. Some resemble known animals but display unusual structures or unexpected colors. Others seem entirely unlike any species previously recorded. Certain animals encountered by these vehicles have been observed only a single time. A camera may capture a delicate organism gliding past the lens before it disappears into the surrounding darkness. The footage becomes the only record of that species' existence, leaving scientists with images but few physical specimens. This rarity reflects both the vastness of the ocean and the limited number of explorations conducted at extreme depths. Even after decades of research, only a small fraction of the seafloor has been observed directly. Each expedition explores new terrain where unfamiliar organisms may live undetected. ROVs move slowly and carefully through these environments. Powerful lights reveal fine details on the seabed, illuminating sediment ripples, coral formations, and scattered rocks that support deep-sea communities. When animals appear within the beams, their shapes emerge gradually from the darkness. Some creatures respond by drifting away from the approaching vehicle. Others remain motionless, relying on camouflage or transparency to avoid attention. Occasionally, an animal approaches the light itself, curious or drawn by the brightness in a habitat where illumination rarely occurs. The cameras record every encounter. Translucent jellies pulse through the water column. Strange fish hover above the seafloor, and unfamiliar invertebrates cling to rocky surfaces. Each observation contributes a small piece to the growing picture of deep ocean biodiversity. The vehicles themselves carry delicate robotic arms capable of collecting specimens. With careful movements, these mechanical tools gather small animals or fragments of habitat for further study. The collected samples travel slowly back to the surface, preserved for examination in laboratories. Yet many organisms remain too fragile to capture. Some collapse when touched, while others dissolve rapidly when pressure changes during ascent. For these species, high-resolution video becomes the primary record of their existence. Researchers later analyze the footage frame by frame, searching for details that reveal anatomy and behavior. Patterns of movement, feeding structures, and body shapes help scientists determine how the animals live within their environment. The discoveries continue steadily as exploration expands. New ROV designs allow longer dives and greater maneuverability, reaching areas once considered inaccessible. With each descent, cameras illuminate regions of the ocean that have remained dark for millions of years. In these moments, the deep sea reveals brief glimpses of its hidden inhabitants. Creatures that evolved in isolation appear quietly within the light, before fading once again into the surrounding darkness. Through the patient work of deep-sea robots, the silent world beneath the ocean gradually becomes visible. Each recorded encounter adds another fragment to the understanding of life in Earth's largest and least explored habitat, where many species may still remain unseen. A quiet truth shapes every exploration of the deep ocean. Even after centuries of curiosity and decades of advanced technology, most of the sea remains unseen. The rare encounters with many deep ocean creatures do not arise from their absence, but from the immense scale and hidden nature of the world they inhabit. The ocean covers more than 2/3 of Earth's surface. Beneath that broad expanse lies a volume of water so vast that it forms the largest living space on the planet. From the sunlit surface to the deepest trenches, this environment extends downward through layers of darkness that stretch for kilometers. Within this immense space, animals exist at densities far lower than those seen in shallow waters or on land. Food arrives slowly in the deep ocean, often descending in small particles from ecosystems far above. Because energy remains limited, many species spread themselves thinly across enormous areas. A single creature drifting through the deep may travel great distances before encountering another member of its own species. The vast separation between individuals makes the chance of human observation even smaller. A research vehicle moving through these depths may pass near countless organisms without ever coming within range of its cameras. Depth itself adds another barrier to discovery. Much of the ocean floor lies thousands of meters below the surface. At these depths, pressure increases dramatically as the weight of the water above presses down from every direction. Equipment designed to explore such regions must withstand forces far beyond those encountered in ordinary environments. For much of history, these pressures made direct observation nearly impossible. Early exploration relied on simple weighted lines or nets lowered into the water. These tools could retrieve fragments of life from the depths, but they revealed little about how those organisms lived within their natural surroundings. Modern submersibles and remotely operated vehicles have changed this situation, yet the challenge remains immense. Each descent requires careful preparation, specialized materials, and support from research vessels operating far from shore. Even with these technologies, exploration progresses slowly. Darkness forms another obstacle. Sunlight fades rapidly as it penetrates the ocean, and below a certain depth it disappears completely. In these lightless zones, animals have evolved to live in conditions where natural illumination rarely exists. To observe them, researchers must bring artificial light into an environment that has remained dark for millions of years. These lights reveal only small portions of the surrounding water at any moment. A camera may illuminate a narrow cone of visibility, while everything beyond its edges remains concealed. Creatures moving quietly outside that beam pass unnoticed through the darkness. Movement within the deep ocean also tends to be slow and subtle. Many animals conserve energy carefully, drifting or gliding through the water rather than swimming rapidly. Their colors often appear dark or transparent, blending easily into the surrounding environment. Such adaptations reduce the likelihood of detection even when a vehicle passes nearby. The geography of the seafloor further complicates exploration. Abyssal plains stretch for immense distances, interrupted by mountains, trenches, and volcanic ridges. Each of these regions forms unique habitats that may support different communities of life. A single expedition can observe only a small portion of this terrain. Weather and ocean conditions at the surface also influence exploration. Research vessels must operate within safe limits of wind and waves, and expeditions often last only a few weeks at a time. During these short windows, vehicles descend repeatedly into depths that remain largely unknown. For these reasons, many deep-sea species have been recorded only rarely. Some appear briefly in the lights of an exploration vehicle before vanishing again into the surrounding darkness. Others may inhabit regions that have never yet been visited by human instruments. The rarity of these encounters reflects not the scarcity of life, but the immense scale of the ocean itself. Within its deep and shadowed layers, countless organisms continue their quiet existence beyond the reach of most observation. Across this hidden world, animals move through waters that remain largely unexplored, inhabiting spaces so vast that many will pass entire lifetimes without ever crossing paths with a human observer. Maps of the ocean floor appear increasingly detailed with each passing decade, yet a quiet gap remains between what has been charted and what has truly been explored. Beneath the surface, vast regions of water and seafloor still exist beyond direct human observation. In these depths, the living world continues its slow rhythms, largely unseen. The scale of the ocean plays a central role in this mystery. Earth's seas contain an immense volume of water layered across multiple environments, each shaped by different pressures, temperatures, and chemical conditions. Shallow coastal zones, mid-water regions, deep basins, and abyssal plains form separate worlds within the same continuous ocean. Although research vessels and exploration technologies have expanded our understanding of these environments, the fraction directly studied remains small. Only a limited portion of the seafloor has been mapped with high-resolution instruments. Even fewer locations have been visited by cameras or sampling equipment capable of revealing the organisms that live there. Within this enormous habitat, biological diversity unfolds in ways that scientists are still beginning to understand. Each expedition into unfamiliar regions often reveals animals never recorded before. Some appear as entirely new species, while others belong to groups that had never previously been observed in those depths. Marine biologists estimate that thousands of species may still remain undiscovered in the ocean. These potential discoveries range from microscopic organisms inhabiting sediments, to larger animals moving through the water column. Many of them may live in habitats that have not yet been examined closely. The deep sea, in particular, holds an extraordinary share of this unknown diversity. Its environments stretch across mountain ranges, hydrothermal vent fields, trenches, and vast plains of sediment. Each location creates conditions that favor different communities of life. Animals living in these regions have adapted to pressures and darkness that differ greatly from those near the surface. Over time, these conditions encourage unique evolutionary pathways, producing forms of life that may exist nowhere else on Earth. When exploration vehicles descend into such habitats, unfamiliar shapes sometimes appear in the camera's light. Some newly encountered organisms belong to groups already known from shallower waters, though their deep-sea relatives possess distinct anatomical features. Others represent entirely separate branches of life that scientists had never documented before. Careful study may require years of analysis before the animal receives a formal scientific description. The process of discovery often begins with simple observation. Video footage captured during exploration reveals the animal's movements, body structure, and interaction with its surroundings. If possible, researchers collect specimens for closer examination in laboratories on the surface. Genetic analysis has become a valuable tool in this work. By comparing DNA sequences from newly collected organisms with known species, scientists can determine whether the animal represents a previously unrecognized form of life. In many cases, the results confirm that the organism belongs to a species never before described, yet the majority of the ocean still lies beyond even these initial steps of discovery. Entire regions remain rarely visited, while others have never been explored at all. The immense distances involved mean that countless species may continue their existence without ever encountering a human observer. Even in areas that have been studied, new discoveries continue to emerge. Repeated visits to the same location often reveal organisms that escaped notice during earlier expeditions. Changes in equipment, lighting, and camera resolution allow researchers to detect smaller or more delicate animals that previously remained hidden. The ocean, therefore, remains a frontier not defined by distant lands, but by hidden depth and vast scale. Within its layered waters and quiet seafloor landscapes, life persists in forms that science is only beginning to recognize. Across these unexplored regions, countless organisms drift, swim, and crawl through environments that have shaped their evolution for millions of years. Their existence continues quietly beneath the waves, waiting for the gradual progress of exploration to reveal how much of the ocean's living world still remains unknown. Far beneath the familiar rhythms of tides and waves, the ocean extends into depths that still lie largely beyond human experience. Even after generations of exploration, the majority of this immense realm continues its quiet existence outside the reach of observation. Within those dark waters, life unfolds in forms that science is only beginning to recognize. The deep sea occupies the largest continuous habitat on Earth. Beneath the thin layer of surface waters known to most people lies a vast interior world composed of trenches, plains, underwater mountains, and drifting water columns that stretch for kilometers in every direction. Each region hosts communities shaped by pressure, darkness, and slow currents that move steadily through the ocean basin. For much of history, these depths remained inaccessible. The immense pressure of the water above created an environment where ordinary equipment could not survive. Early attempts to study the deep ocean relied on simple instruments lowered from ships, offering only brief glimpses of what lived far below. Advances in engineering gradually opened new possibilities. submersibles, and remotely operated vehicles now descend carefully into these regions, carrying cameras and scientific instruments designed to withstand extreme conditions. Their lights reveal landscapes and animals that few human eyes have ever seen. Every journey into the depths brings the possibility of encountering something unexpected. A drifting jelly-like organism may appear within the glow of the vehicle's lamps, its structure unlike anything previously described. A strange fish might hover just above the seafloor, its body shaped by evolutionary paths that unfolded in isolation for millions of years. These discoveries remind researchers that the ocean still holds a remarkable capacity for surprise. Even areas visited before may reveal new species during later expeditions. Changes in technology allow scientists to observe smaller organisms, record finer details, and explore habitats that once remained beyond reach. The sea floor itself contains environments of great diversity. Hydrothermal vents release mineral-rich fluids from deep within the earth, supporting communities powered not by sunlight but by chemical energy. Cold seeps, underwater ridges, and sediment plains create additional habitats where distinct organisms have adapted to specialized conditions. In the water column above these landscapes, animals drift through layers that vary in temperature and pressure. Some species migrate vertically through the depths each day, while others remain suspended within narrow zones where food and environmental conditions remain stable. Because these habitats extend across enormous distances, many areas remain unexplored. The logistical challenges of deep-sea research limit how often expeditions can reach the most remote locations. Weather, funding, and the complexity of operating specialized vehicles all shape the pace of discovery. Yet each mission contributes to a growing understanding of the ocean's living systems. Detailed observations reveal how animals move, feed, and interact within their environments. Collected specimens allow scientists to examine anatomy and genetics, gradually assembling a clearer picture of life in the deep. The process unfolds slowly but steadily. New species are described in scientific literature, expanding the catalog of known marine life. At the same time, the discoveries raise new questions about how these organisms evolved and how they survive under such extreme conditions. Even the most advanced technologies illuminate only small portions of the ocean during each dive. Beyond the reach of those lights, immense spaces continue undisturbed, inhabited by creatures that have never encountered human presence. Their existence forms part of a living world, still largely hidden from view. In this sense, the ocean remains one of Earth's last great frontiers. Its depths contain landscapes and communities that rival entire continents in scale, yet much of that world remains unseen. Each expedition serves as another step into a vast and patient realm that continues to reveal its secrets gradually. Across the silent layers of water and along the distant seafloor, life persists in countless forms, shaped by the deep ocean's enduring forces. The discoveries made so far represent only the beginning of a story still unfolding beneath the waves.